So we're delighted to have Azhar Hussain, who is a distinguished financial advisor and dedicated scholar of Islamic studies. He was born in England and educated at the London School of Economics with a Bachelor of Laws. He qualified as a chartered accountant before venturing into financial advising for a leading global accounting firm in the Middle East. Parallel to his professional career, Hussain embarked on religious studies in 2023 at the Qasid Arabic Language School in Jordan, advancing to study major Islamic sciences under notable scholars. His work includes translating and annotating important Islamic legal texts, contributing significantly to academic and religious communities. So welcome, Azhar Hussain. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me, inviting me.
So Azhar, how do you perceive the role of cultural and religious diversity in strengthening societal bonds in your field of expertise?
I think religion and religious diversity, cultural diversity has an important role in strengthening institutions, society, corporate institutions. And especially for me, it's been interesting. I started off my career in Bradford with a global accounting firm just down the road here. And I remember those days where it was a little bit difficult to express one's religious and cultural aspects of certainly one person's. I felt like there was a kind of a double life almost. There was my professional life and the way and that was, and then my personal religious life. And sometimes mixing the two was a bit difficult, and I certainly wasn't, very forthright about, the way I was, because I felt that sensitivity and that even perhaps tension, you can say. So, walking around, I can remember client rooms, trying to find an empty room to pray in quickly, and someone walking in and like, what is this person doing on the floor? I lived through those experiences, but then I saw things changing even in the UK. My next job was in Leeds, and I remember we moved into a custom-made office into the centre of Leeds, and my firm came to me, the office manager came and said, here's the floor plans, we want a prayer room, what do you want in there? Because we know you pray, we want to make it easy for you, we want to facilitate that. And then, going forward, the last 14 years, I've been working in the Middle East across Dubai and Riyadh, and you see things going up to the next level where it's not about cultural and religious tolerance, but it's about celebrating the diversity, and it's deemed as a positive factor rather than something you need to tolerate. And, we have a diversity officer, we have a diversity pillar, senior partners promoting that, because they realize that we're a people-based business, and the larger the talent pool that we have and the diversity that we have, the most people that we can bring. So not only do they see it as a moral imperative, but also they see it as a financial lever and the financial benefits of having so many people bringing in their own unique experiences, insights into projects and delivering real value for their clients.
It's so wonderful that you can feel like you can bring your whole self to work now, and so people aren't leaving religion at home. So you feel that now you can bring your whole self to it, but that's the evolution of what's happened over the years.
100%, and I feel more comfortable. I think the employees feel more comfortable. People are just more natural, and we all perform better when we're relaxed rather than trying to be something that you're not. And I find myself now in Ramadan sometimes, as an example, every year, my CEO will come to me and say like, look, can we send our Ramadan guide to everyone? And can you do your Ramadan program, talk about why you fast, what does it mean? And people are asking questions who are non-Muslims, and honestly, I'm always taken aback by the feedback, especially by people non-Muslim. They say to me, we learned so much, and the Muslims say, it was so good that we could talk about this openly.
It's such an asset, right, when you can be comfortable in your skin.
Absolutely.
In your experience, what are the most effective strategies for combating stereotypes and misinformation about Islam and Muslims?
I think the best way to do this is kind of naturally through everyday interactions. I mean, I don't mean to sound old, but I remember when I first went to a local grammar school here, 400-500-year grammar school, and I was like, there were two non-white kids before me when I went to that school. So I kind of live that, but I kind of felt the more I kind of interact with people naturally before they saw who we were, and they're just human beings like us, and they might have slightly different. And then I felt that natural experience of building relationships, talking people, it just kind of normalized everything. You understood them more, they understood you more. So while I'm all for events and programs, I think they all have their own role. But I think Muslims going out into new spaces through their careers, through their professions, through business relations, through interactions, just living in society in their communities. That's the most effective way, because I think the problem always stems from ignorance. And you hear so many people say, well, I got a problem with what I hear about Islam, but all the Muslims I know, they're all right. And I think the problem is because you don't know all the other Muslims.
Absolutely. The power lies in personal interactions, doesn't it? That's where real change lies.
Absolutely.
What initiatives or projects have you been involved in that align with the aims of Islam and Muslims Initiative to foster intercultural understanding and cooperation?
We've tried to, and we work as part of an organisation called the Azhar Foundation, which we set up around 20 years ago, me and about 6-7 friends. And what we felt like, we wanted to kind of bring Muslims more into, let's put it another way, with Islam, we felt like it needed to kind of be presented in a culturally relevant way and a contextually relevant way to Muslims in the West. So we took the traditional, we have 150 children coming every day to the Institute to learn. And I think we try to foster intercultural relations in two ways. One, by making the teachings of Islam more culturally relevant for Muslim children, but then also trying to do outreach work to non-Muslim communities as well, so that they can see what Islam looks like. So as an example, we'll have young school children coming and visiting our centre, and even when the teachers and the kids come, I think they're just struck by the beauty of the mosque itself, because it looks like some of the great Turkish mosques, and it brings together like Turkish art. It's a renovated church building, and we've kept all the church features, so it's actually a physical and visible fusion of beauty of the East and the West. And when the kids see that, they're visibly struck by some of the bespoke pieces of art within that place. And I think that's important. We forgot that just the art and the beauty can have a more impact than our words. And then the kids come, they learn a little about Islam, they ask questions. We've done that type of work, and I think that's been positive.
And it's good that you start young in a way, so that they're growing up with that fusion and that understanding, rather than it coming much later in life.
100%. I think, things you learn young, it's easy to teach people when they're young, rather than undo things when they're older on, when unfortunately sometimes prejudices have already set in.
As you worked on translating and annotating the Sublime Gift, what were some of the most challenging aspects of making complex Hanafi jurisprudence accessible and relevant to modern students and scholars?
There's quite a few complexities. The book Al-Hadiyya Al-Alaiya, the Sublime Gift, as we translated it, it was actually written for primary school students. And I think the kids must have been a lot brighter than they are now, because now I've had so many people say to me, this is a great reference book. And I don't really have the heart to tell them it was actually written for primary school children. One, language changes. So even though the book was written about 150 years ago, the language changes even with the Arabic language. I actually had an Arabic Moroccan, he's actually a scholar with us the other day ago. He said to me, what does this line mean? Because of the Arabic changes. So that was a challenge. Putting it into simple English, legal texts, even in English, are not easy, right? they're designed for lawyers, so we try to break it down into smaller paragraphs and bullets and sub-bullets, just visually more easier for a modern student. So that was part of the challenge. And then some of the rulings can be culturally specific and time specific, and that's part of the Sharia and of the fiqh tradition, is that it evolves. It evolves with culture. The author says right at the end of the book, he says, look, whoever's not knowledgeable of the people of his time, he's not a scholar, because you can't have academic rulings without knowing your people and not without knowing your community. If you look at the book, it's got like about 2,500 footnotes in it, which was actually doing all of these things that we're talking about, trying to make the book relevant. And then we added 150 pages supplementary notes, which again were contemporary issues like zakat, for example. If I've got a second house and I need to pay zakat on the rent, what do I do? Do I pay on the value of the house? Do I pay on my rental income? What about my pensions? What are my insurance contributions? How do they all fit into zakat? So we added issues on contemporary people, and then we put like 150 short biographies of the scholars quoted in the text. So again, people can see, look, we're referring to authorities and a little bit of a background to people that have been referred to as authorities in the book.
So it's important that we have scholars of the text who are also scholars of the context, because if we don't have those cultural references, then a lot of this will be lost and irrelevant.
The traditional Muslim texts and legal texts especially were always designed to be taught by a teacher, and if you go to this specific teacher, in the forward actually I got Sheikh Ridwan of Glasgow. He wrote the forward to the book, and in that he gave his own chain of transmission from the book, saying like, I studied this text with so-and-so, who studied it with so-and-so, who studied it with so-and-so, back to Alauddin Abidin, who was the author. And that was just to emphasize, look, this is a tradition that's ultimately taught from student to teacher for that exact reason, so that you can't put everything into a book, but it's the teacher's role to unpack it, and part of the unpacking it is to give cultural relevance and time relevance. And so we did pull that health warning at the front of the book as well, that although I've tried my absolute best to make this a self-study book, to get the full richness of the book, it has to be studied with a scholar. The book was designed to be almost like a manual of life, because again, the author says at the back of the book, he says, I know my students here are all studying with me, but once they leave the madrasa, the school, they're going to be out doing their jobs, and I know they probably won't pick up too many books again or have time to sit down and do formal education. So here's a book that you can take away and live with for the rest of your life. And then we got someone in Birmingham to spend almost 2 months doing like a 50-page detailed index of the book. So I hope it'll be kind of fulfill that role of being a manual that you can keep by the side of your bed and just dip into it as you go through your days and weeks.
Thank you so much, Azhar Hussain. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time and your expertise.
Thank you for hosting me, much appreciated.